Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Korea Society. My name is Luz Lanzot. I'm the program officer here, and I'm so happy to see you all here to celebrate K-pop and beauty. We are so honored to have Devon Abelman from Allure here. I'll briefly read her bio. Devon Abelman is Allure's digital beauty reporter, covering viral makeup trends, rainbow hair, K-beauty, and more. Since joining Allure in 2016, she has made a mark as the first reporter to interview members of K-pop groups such as BTS, NCT, Monsta X, and EXID about their skincare routines for a Western audience. When she's not writing, you can catch Devon shopping at her favorite Brooklyn thrift stores for outfits to fit her signature Boca Raton grandma aesthetic, smiling at dogs and covering her face with the most colorful makeup she can find. Please give Devon a warm welcome. So this is the third talk in the series, K-pop 101, and something that I don't know much about, so I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about hair and makeup. But first, I'd like to know, when did you first get interested in beauty?
I mean, I can't remember a time when I wasn't interested in beauty. I mean, I grew up, my mom is super into skincare, so I grew up going to like Sephora with her. Like when we would go to the mall, she took us there, she'd get her like all her skincare products. And then when I was in high school, I started wearing makeup as soon as I could. And I never really knew that I could write about beauty until I started looking for jobs, weirdly enough. And then once I did right out of college, I realized that it just made sense to me. I always like interacting with products, and I always focus on the way that I present myself. So it's just another way of self-expression for me.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, so how do you define beauty as a lifestyle? And I guess self-expression is the best way to put it. It's an art.
Yeah, I mean, beauty is like such a multifaceted word to me. It's not just like, this is how to look conventionally beautiful. Like, that's not even on my radar. It's like the way you present yourself. It's the way you care for yourself. And it's a way of like bringing something you feel about yourself outward. That's like in the ways that you can do so. So the way you interact with products, the way you interact with your like regimens, like makeup and skincare wise and hair.
Right. Yeah. One of my Korean American friends asked me what my skincare routine was, and I said I wash my face in the shower. And she looked at me. She says she has some things to give me, so we'll see what happens.
Ooh, yeah.
And so, how were you introduced to K-pop? So you've always been into beauty. So where did K-pop come in?
One of my best friends who's here right now, she went to KCON like 2 or 3 years ago, and when she came back, she's like, okay, I just saw this group called BTS, like, you have to watch their videos. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, these are really pretty, this is really colorful, but like for whatever reason, I like kind of ignored it and like moved on with my life. And then about like a year and a half ago, I was going through a really difficult time, and I started watching a lot of K-dramas. And my friend Brooke was like, this is a good time. You should start listening to BTS. And that day, like after we went out to dinner, I went home and I watched a bunch of their YouTube videos. And I was like, whoa, this is everything that I love in one place. Like, I love boy bands. I love the way they're interacting with beauty. Like, their skin looks amazing. Their fashion is amazing. Like, it's so well produced. And I just like fell down a hole from there.
Yeah, when people ask what is K-pop, it's not a genre. It's like a lifestyle. It's an industry.
Yeah.
You can't really answer that in one answer.
Yeah.
So I think
there's so many facets.
It's everything that you could. It's like a visual. It's like a sensory feast. Like,
yes,
all of your senses are stimulated when you engage with K-pop.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah, and I've always been fascinated with those visual elements. Like, that's what got me first. Like, I feel like if I just listened to them on Spotify at first, I maybe wouldn't have had like the same fascination with it. But seeing all their colorful hair and their smoky eyes, I was like, oh wait, this makes sense to me. This resonates with me. And then of course, like, their songs like were really catchy, and it definitely had an uplifting manner on my spirit, I guess. I just kept going deeper and deeper.
Great. So why do you think it's important for Allure to cover K-pop?
I'm surprised that a beauty outlet hasn't covered it in this way yet, or like any other outlet that covers beauty, because it's so visual.
Right.
Because you have trends starting in K-pop and moving outwards, or that you see them beauty trends in such a concentrated manner. So that's like the most topical, like very surface level answer to that question. But of course you could go deeper, and the way that like even men alone interact with beauty in K-pop, like you see men wearing makeup. Like sure, like Harry Styles, like Justin Bieber, they wear makeup on an everyday basis, but it's completely different with K-pop. Like it's so much more intentional. They want you to know that it's there, and you hear the K-pop, like male K-pop stars talking about like, oh, I'm not wearing makeup right now. Like don't look at me. Like you would never hear that from Western artists, and so it's really giving representation for men's beauty, and it's a way for me to bring that to our readers in a way that makes sense. Like it's another way of showing it, because we do have like Patrick Stars and James Charles. Like we have these like very makeup driven beauty boys, as people call them, but with K-pop it just gives it another way that makes it more artistic, or like you see them just wearing natural makeup on a daily basis too. And then there's just like representation in general is another way to bring it to Allure.
Right. When I try to introduce people to K-pop, the first thing they kind of notice, these guys are wearing makeup, and it seems like so out of their concept, you know? So we'll talk a little bit later about, you know, where masculinity comes into play. But so talking about that, how do you think that styling and makeup in K-pop is unique in terms of the beauty industry in general?
Well, the fact that they're constantly changing their hair and makeup for every single concept is just fascinating alone. Like, there's not really a signature look for every K-pop star. I mean, like, I'm sure they have, like, things that they could go back to. There's that one member in every group that doesn't dye their hair. But the fact that it's constantly changing and adapting to whatever the trend is at the time, it's, like, such, as I said before, like, it really reflects current beauty trends. So you get to see it under a microscope, and you get to see the constantly changing things. So there's always something to keep up with. And it's also showing their music in a brand new way. Like, it's one thing, as I said before, like you can listen to a song, okay, you see one facet of it, but then you see the way that they color their hair to match it. Like you have, like Joy dyed her hair red for Red Flavor. Like those kind of little things that just make the song so much more powerful because of hair and makeup.
And I think, you know, as a fan of K-pop, there's never-ending content. So
yeah,
you know, they come back, you know, 2, sometimes 3 times in a year. There's always new groups coming out. So it must be so fun for you to kind of dissect, you know, what trends are going on.
Yeah, like I'm always looking forward to like what color is someone's gonna dye their hair next. Like it's never, no one, some like Taeyong from NCT never has his hair color one color for too long. It's always something else, and I always look forward to seeing those kind of things. Great. And then like our readers love reading about that, so it's really fun.
That's great. And you get to interact with your readers a lot, I guess, on social media, right?
I mean, like Twitter has been really fun to just, even I will share a story on my account before Allure does, and they'll catch on to it. And I'm just like this random girl, like, how did they even find it? But then when Allure shares it, then my tweet alone keeps blowing up, and we're like, my other tweets get like 5 likes if I'm lucky, and I'm probably all 5 of the people who like those tweets are here. But yeah, social media in all of this has been very interesting.
Great. So talking about constantly dyeing their hair, why do you think rainbow hair is so significant in K-pop?
I mean, like, as I said before, it shows that something is happening. So let's say a group hasn't been doing something for a while, like they haven't had music coming out, and then you see them go to the airport or they go out and they take off their beanie or something, and you see like a new hair color, you're like, oh wait, something's happening, like finally they're gonna come out with a new album. Like even with like Chanyeol and EXO, like they haven't been coming out with music for a while, and then he like showed up at the Tommy Hilfiger show with blonde hair, and then everyone was like, okay, we can get ready now. Finally EXO's gonna come out with something. And then it has like the reflection of the album where it could match it in some way, matches the vibe. Like I interviewed Sammy from The Rose, and he was talking about how their latest album was called The Void. So he dyed his hair like almost like a colorless white to like show devoid of color. So it can really be symbolic of their album too. So it's not only like a signal of something new, it can reflect it in a new way.
It's so interesting. These companies are so smart at marketing.
Yeah.
So they have their music video teasers, but then, hair color can be a little teaser, a little foreshadowing. So
Exactly.
I think it's genius
Yeah,
what
and
they
they're
do.
like so secretive about it too. Like they'll hide it away, and
They'll
you
sometimes
always
like
hear about
spray their
that.
hair even when they're
Yeah.
performing, and like when the fan cam come, they're like, oh, that's not really the hair color that they have. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're it's very deliberate, like you
Yes.
said.
Yeah. It's just as much a part of the whole process as um like teasers and everything. Like
Right.
hair color can really be like an instrumental part of a single song.
Right. Yeah, never try to learn a K-pop member
By
by
their
their hair color.
no, it will not help you out unless it's like Jin Young from GOT7. Like then you're fine.
So we're talking about all these kind of visual things. So why don't we jump into the visuals? Let's discuss some current
Yeah.
popular hair and makeup trends among female
Okay.
artists.
Well, I prepared a little slideshow for you guys so you can see. All right, so we have this first. We're going to start with some hair colors. We have bright orange. And I've been seeing this more and more within the past couple months with girl groups. Chung from Twice was the first person, and it kind of was controversial. It was weird. Like people were like, "Oh, how could she do such a bright color?" And I think it's one of the brightest colors that someone from Twice has. I mean, like some people have blue and pink, but I think orange has been like kind of a most shocking color. And then also Handong from Dreamcatcher and Hani from EXID have also been having some bright orange hair color moments, like a tangerine. So
It has such a
it's
strong impression.
yeah,
It's
it
just
really
like
is strong, especially like in Dreamcatcher's new music video. Like you see Handong like right away, and it kind of has like that jarring element that their music has because it's rock. Like you really sense the electricity of it, so you can see that too. And it was fun like to see like Hani do a fun color because she kind of has done a lot of like pastels, so to see such a bright color for Lady was it kind of went with like the colorful vibe of their 90s music video.
yeah, the lady video song.
Yeah. And then we have like this steely blue color, and another member from Dreamcatcher also goes along with this. And then you have Ro from Kristen V, which is this is kind of like on the opposite side. You have like the super bright with the orange, and then now you have kind of like a more subtle, low-key color with the bluish gray. And yeah, it's really nice because I feel like gray hair has kind of been a trend in K-pop like throughout time, and this kind of gives it more of a modern spin to it by adding a little shock of blue. And then for makeup, we have a lot. There's a glittery eyeshadow is always kind of a look that happens with girl groups, but lately it's been kind of going into like a liner look, and Sami did it in her new Siren music video with some Dior products. And then we have Lisa doing it from Blackpink and Do Do Do, and Hwasa did almost like a geometric kind of vibe with it, really graphic. So it's been more than just doing like winged liner, like it's more experimental, like you see on Instagram. It kind of reflects that because you've been seeing a lot of people doing that on social media, and as more and more people are starting to experiment with their eye makeup.
Do you see the effect when a new video comes out? Do you see it on Instagram
Yeah,
almost right away?
Well, especially like YouTube, you see like people are recreating it, like how to get the look. And I feel like maybe Red Velvet's Power Up, I've been seeing a lot of those lately because it's a lot more neutral and attainable, and maybe not as much as these like bolder looks, which I wish more of those existed, but you definitely see a ton of tutorials and people recreating it. And then we have Solgi's looks from Bad Boy, like my favorite of the year right here are these two looks. I even recreated this one with the red underneath because I loved it so much.
It looks so strong.
And then there's a lighter pink has always been a trend, but now it's becoming even more vibrant. And even almost like 3 members of G-Idol did it in Han. And this is Minnie. And then you have the totally monochromatic look from Do 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 on Jisoo. And then you have Moonbyul from Mamamoo with her pink. So it's just more vibrant, and it's really, it catches your eye so much more than just maybe a softer pink.
Do you
It's
see
really
any
fun.
correlation to seasons, or do they just kind of do their own thing?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
And I think even that is kind of the trend also in fashion in general. Even we just had the New York Fashion Week, and there was a lot of yellow, even though we're going into fall. Like you can still see that colors aren't really attached to seasons anymore. Like people are just like, okay, I'll try whatever, and you see that a lot in K-pop too. And then we have eye jewels, which is something that I've taken a lot of inspiration from, obviously. Chungha has kind of done it for her past two comebacks. She has been putting like two right in the center, but she's also done one in the middle of her eyes. And then we have Unwoo from Preston V doing three little under eye, and then Yuki from G Idol doing on top. And there's always that glitz with the girl groups. There's always that like something sparkle that catches your eye, but now it's like a lot more intentional and bold, and I love it because I just love embellishments in the 3D and texture element of makeup.
Right. It adds a nice texture to
Yeah.
the look for sure.
Yeah, and you even see more pinkers happening here too, and orangey hair colors. And then we have blush placement has been changing up a lot too. It's been going more from the apples of the cheeks for like an innocent flush to more higher for that kind of like Japanese Ngari like hangover look, like right below the eyes and towards the temples, which it's a mix of the Japanese and then also like Fenty when or not even Fendi, just like Rihanna, whenever she was at the Met Gala like 2 years ago, she did like it all around her eyes into the temples. And that was actually I've said Fenty probably because that was like the first time she ever showed her products before they even came out. Like you can see them there. And so, yeah, it's really been fun to see cheek makeup change up because it's like one of the most underrated parts of makeup, I think. Like sure, like contouring is a thing, but the way that you add color to your cheeks can be a lot more fun than be like, smile, put it right here. So I love that. And so I don't know if you guys know who this is, but this is Xion from Dreamcatcher. She's really fun. Jui from Momoland, and then Soyeon from G Idol. And they've all been really fun with their makeup lately. Like they get me really excited whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong looks from them for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to those music videos.
They have great personalities to pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a very modern approach to beauty.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the men. So how do male artist concepts differ from female?
Honestly, they don't differ that much. I feel like a lot of these trends could be seen with boy groups, and I almost think that boy groups are more experimental than girl groups. They're doing things that are bolder and maybe less pretty. I feel like maybe the girl groups want to stay on the pretty side, and they want to look more conventionally pretty and be like, I'm not sure if it's like for the male gaze, not sure. I don't want to like look too far into it, but it's always going to be pretty with girls. And then with the boy groups, it's more a lot more experimental, more artistic, a lot more textures are used, a lot of more unconventional looks. Like as you can see here, like you have Suho from EXO, like with all these flowers on his face. Like I'm not seeing that many girl groups doing it like this. Like sure, you've had like little flower freckles, but it's like still cute. This is like very much more artistic and editorial. And then you have Kino from Pentagon with his ribbit lettering, which I haven't really seen that many girl groups like doing something that's so bold like this. And those kind of looks get me really excited because I want to really recreate those looks. And
Are those letters hand painted or is
I think so. I've been wanting to try it out. I think I'm gonna do it next week. I just need to like set aside the time to do it and like look in the mirror and put it all out. But you still have like blush is a huge part of boy group makeup, and it kind of started with Edon from Pentagon. Like he started doing like very intentional, like almost a sun strip kind of blush, and now you see members of like Monsta X, like Juon here doing it. And for GOT7's latest promo cycle, Bam Bam has been doing an orange blush. So blush is like something that kind of unifies. It's like a genderless beauty product in K-pop, which is really fun. I love seeing all those blush looks. And then another thing that differs is like the boy groups don't really care if their hair is not cute. Like the girls seem to always just have like really pretty like long waves, or even if it's like a bob, it's like really sleek. But then you have like the guy groups like with Key and Shiny doing like this like graffiti rainbow buzz cut, which buzz cuts aren't really seen too much. Yeah. And when they are, the fans are kind of like, oh, he has a buzz cut. Even though, like, American dudes always have buzz cuts, like, we're used to it, but it's, like, seen less attractive. Right. And then you have mullets, which, like, ugh. But, like, I'm going to say, like, a mullet is a mullet. I've gotten past it, you know. JB has his blue one right now. So the boy groups just tend to be more daring, and there's, like, less... They could be more risky with it, which is interesting to see just how far they could push it.
Our next talk is on gender politics, so we're going to be talking a lot about expectations, how they differ from female and male artists. So look out for that one.
I'm ready for that one.
So who would you identify as trailblazers in K-pop? Those who kind of really come out with innovative looks and start new trends.
I didn't really touch too much on masculinity with the past question, but I did want to mention with like G-Dragon and Monsta X, like the way that they're able to use beauty in a way that isn't seen in America that often. When I went to Monsta X, for example, after I walked out of that concert, everyone was like, oh, they're so masculine. Like, you have, like, one who, like, takes videos going to the gym and stuff. But then when I was interviewing them before, they had, like, this super shimmery eye makeup. And that's just not something you see with American forms of masculinity. Right. And the way that beauty is able to help them balance that and, like, redefine what masculinity is really amazing to see. Yeah. So, trailblazers.
We can talk about Taeyong. We can go back.
I mean, I included him because I think he's like another really amazing example of balancing like a new form of masculinity that is seen, especially in 2018, where you have this like you have that like cold side of masculinity, you know, like the very stereotypical masculine dude who's just like, I feel like my microphone went off. I'm just kidding. When they're just like cold and like broody, but at the same time he has pink hair and he's wearing like matching pink eyeshadow. So, which is seen as something, pink alone is seen as something that's stereotypically feminine. So to be able to balance those like very strict stereotypes of masculine and feminine and like combine it into this person who has kind of become a chameleon in the K-pop world. It's been really amazing. I'm not going to talk about that because, so for trailblazers, definitely I don't know if I'm biased with this, but I think that Baekhyun from EXO has kind of been a standout for me, especially with his mullet from Coco Bop kind of like had a domino effect. So you keep seeing more and more mullets now since that. And he also, back in like 2014, I think it was, when he wore a burgundy eyeshadow, it started a burgundy eyeshadow trend that has even moved, not because of him, but like even in America, burgundy eyeshadow has been really big and it's been features in a bunch of palettes. So I think he's a good reflection of a lot of trends. group wise, and then girl group wise, Kiana. The way that she's able to, this is from like in a year, like is all of where these are from. And the fact that she can adapt to all these different kinds of looks and completely change her concept. And she also helps plan the concept. She plans her hair and makeup herself. So she just, like, the innovation that she brings to K-pop is really amazing.
I wonder how much, freedom or creative expression the artists have. I know they have
Yeah.
styling teams, but I'm sure, they give their feedback now and then and participate. I'm glad to hear that Hannah's so, proactive in her own
Yeah.
looks. She's she's one of my faves.
Yeah, I like take a lot of inspiration from her looks. Like she just has so much fun with it and is so adaptable.
Right. Her confidence is so strong that she could make anything look good, and
Yeah.
that's rare.
Yeah.
She definitely has that star power.
I agree. For sure. Yeah, those are my top two.
Those are your top two.
Yes.
We can leave her up.
Yeah.
So, in your work, you've been fortunate enough to meet some of your favorite artists, and these K-pop idols are known for their immaculate skin. So, what are some unexpected skincare tips that they've shared with you?
Okay, let's see who we got here, and I'll go through with them. Okay, so we got Card. So Card was one of the first groups that I interviewed in person. BTS was the first group I ever interviewed, but that was via email. So with Card, it was really interesting to have like half boy, half girl groups because like BM and JSF kind of only wanted to talk about like their dream hairstyles, and then like Jiwoo was like very into hydration. She just kept on telling me, she's like, I love hydration. I love hydration. So what she does is when she's on the plane, when she needs like a quick hit of hydration for her skin that's like without a sheet mask, she'll wet little cotton pads with like a hydrating toner and make like a makeshift mask by putting 4 on her face. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty quick because you can have those two things with you, but maybe not a sheet mask all the time. What else? Oh, so this is Momoland. So Jui likes to use her ring fingers to apply products. Usually people only do that for their under eye circle or under eye area because that's the thinnest part of your skin and you have to be super gentle, but she does the whole face. So it seems like it would take a really long time. And then Jane, she likes to spray like a face mist on her skin before removing her makeup as like an extra step in her cleansing routine. Who else we got? Then we got Monsta X. So Shonu also has a weird application routine. He uses 3 fingers to apply his products. And his explanation why was because he doesn't like the product getting all over his hands. It keeps it in a concentrated area. And then Minhyuk likes to apply toner 3 times. He's very specific about it. Like, he brought it up many times. He's like, 3 times, okay? 3 times? I'm like, yes, okay, got it. But it's kind of based on the K-beauty trend called the 7 skin method. So it's when you literally put on toner 3 times or 7 times, and so he cuts it down to 3. And then Kion like slaps his face, which is kind of like people pat their skincare products on, but it was really funny because after they brought it up, they were saying like slapping themselves. They're like, actually it sounds more like this. He doesn't pat it. So you have to be aggressive with your skincare products if you want them to go well. And then we have the Rose. They actually it was interesting to talk to them about skincare because they'd never really talked about it in an interview before. And as we were talking about it, they're like, wait, like, why don't more guys talk about this? This is so strange. So they use like Bioderma. They use like very normal things. So it was nice to hear a group that uses stuff like I use all the time. Like I use Bioderma to remove makeup, and they're like, yeah, we use that for everything. Like that'll be our toner, that'll be our essence, that'll be our makeup remover. So they like kind of like the all-in-one aspect of skincare.
I know that I've seen a lot of V lives where the idols will talk about their skincare routine, or they'll show you. It's just so cool. It seems really involved.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because today I had like a content review where we talked about like the top stories that worked for this past month. and I wrote about Mark from GOT7, his V Live where he was just removing his makeup, and it was one of our top skin stories. And the fact that people want to read about someone doing something that you can watch already on the internet just because they want to know how K-pop stars do, like, get their skincare,
Right.
like do all their skincare routines.
I don't know if you know this. This is out of left field, but do you know if there are brands that send like free products to the artists because they want to advertise, or do you know anything about that?
That's actually an interesting question. So a lot of times they can't tell me the products they use because they either have an endorsement deal, so they are getting products from whatever their endorsement deal, or they want to get one. So they don't want to piss off some other brand by bringing up another brand. So the ones that don't already have an endorsement deal, I'm unsure of if they're sent free products, but if they do have an endorsement deal, they most likely do. But the Rose was the only interview that I've done where they actually were like, is it okay if we bring up product names? And I was like, I looked at their manager, I was like, usually they ask you, tell me not to. Like, so it was interesting to hear, like, for real what kind of products they use. So they use like Bioderma, Dr. Jart, like very the same kind of stuff that like probably people in this room use for sure.
So you've had the pleasure of interviewing these artists. Who would you like to interview for Allure in the future?
Going back to Baekhyun and Hana for sure. Like those are like the top ones because they are such trailblazers because of the reasons that I mentioned. And I think that the way that they interact with beauty, they're like very aware of it. It's not just them sitting in a makeup chair. Like they're aware of what's happening. I really want to talk to Bam Bam from GOT7. Supposedly he picked the orange blush color for this concept, so I would just love to know why. Shiny for sure. I just like recently got into them over the past couple weeks, and I would love to do like a hair evolution with them.
That'd be quite an evolution.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, all of EXO in general would be really fun. I could go on and on for you, but those are the top ones, like GOT7, EXO, Hyuna.
I would love to see Hyuna. I'd love that. She needs lots of support. Send her some love. So before we get to Q&A, do you have any other interesting stories about your work that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, it's been really interesting to see when I walk in the room when the K-pop stars, when they see me, because I mean, you can talk on the phone with them. Like I've done phone interviews before. You can do email interviews, but it's so much different when you walk into the room and you get to sit down with them. And I think because I'm such a visually like a beauty lover, like when you look at me, you know that I love beauty. So it's like really helps them open up to me, and they'll bring up like weird parts of their beauty routines because they realize that like maybe I'm obviously doing weird stuff to my face. Like this is not conventional kind of makeup. So like I'll have like the members of Dreamcatcher were like, can you do my makeup? So that's like really fun. And they're like, do you wear black lipstick? I love black lipstick. So just to hear them like kind of talk about beauty in a way that they don't really have a chance to has been really fun. And I've had them like ask about my tattoos, which is really interesting, where like they'll end up interviewing me before or after and asking me a bunch of questions. And like I've had a point where the translator will be like, okay, we need to actually talk about the real questions Devon has. You have to stop interviewing her. They'll be like, what did that mean? What does this one mean? What does that mean? So that's been really fun just to like see, like interact with beauty with them in a new way, like in a way that's like beyond the questions that I have. Like the fact that when they see me, it brings up a whole nother layer of the interview.
Exciting. Yeah, we were talking earlier, and I think it's so wonderful that you get to work on something you're so passionate about, and you get to meet people that you look up to, and get to have those moments where, you know, imagine like Dreamcatcher asking you to do your makeup. But that's like,
yeah,
I can't even imagine.
I mean, I wish that one day I would love to have some kind of video series or something when I actually do their makeup, they do mine. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Putting that into the universe.
Yeah, put it out there, make it happen. Do you have any advice for makeup novices on where to start and how to get into the routine?
I mean, For makeup, for sure. You kind of earlier she was telling me she watched YouTube videos. I think that's the way to go. Like if you, what I usually do is if I see something on Instagram I like, I'll just bookmark it and then I kind of use that as reference and kind of guess. But I also have a lot of products at my expense that I can try it out. But I feel like YouTube is such a great resource for learning how to do certain techniques. And then, of course, like reading the articles I write. You get some little tips here and there. And I'm always here if anyone needs makeup tips and recommendations. I love talking about beauty. Like I use so many products on a daily basis, so I am able to give like very deep analysis on formula. So if anyone ever wants to know if I've tried any certain mascara lately, I probably have, and I could tell you how it compares to other ones. But with the internet and beauty is so connected, and it's so easy to find information about any product that is out there. So if there's anything you're curious about, it's like only a couple clicks away. And even like Instagram, you can even find little tiny tutorials. So
if you want to follow Devon on Twitter, she's Abelwoman, ABELW0 instead of an O.
yeah,
MAN.
someone has it with an O. So go bother them, tell them to give it up.
If you guys have any more questions, we're going to enjoy some drinks and food now, so feel free to talk to Devon. But thank you so much for coming. Our next talk is on October 25th. We have Sharon Lee, a gender studies professor from NYU, and Lai Francis, who's a freelance journalist. And we're going to be talking about traditional notions of masculinity and femininity, as well as LGBTQ issues within K-pop. So please be sure to tune in to that. And let's give a round of applause to Devon.